Okay. So with respect to economic entomology or pest of crops course, uh, few things you have to remember, especially for examination purpose. The first thing you have to remember scientific name. Many students find it difficult to remember scientific names, and a large part of the students hate entomology because of the enormity of scientific names, their family, order, etc. But if you just go through it several times, you can easily grasp this. It's not that a difficult thing. Don't think that this is just mugging up the thing. It's usually a related, you can study it relatively. It's not that a difficult thing. That's the thing which I usually feel it doesn't need much mugging up at all. So if you have to study this well, first thing is you have to learn about the scientific name, family, and the order for each and every pest. Second part will be the nature of damage. The nature of damage means how the insect damages the crop. Which stage of the insect damages the crop, either the adult, grub, or any other stage which damages the crop. And the next part is what are the symptoms, what are the visible symptoms that we can observe due to the damage caused by the pest. And the last part is the management. So I'll repeat, for each and every pest, you have to learn about its scientific name, family, and order. Then second part is the nature of damage. That means how the pest damages the crop, how the damage is inflicted. Third, based because of the damage, what are the symptoms which we can observe on the crop? So that will be the symptom part, and the last will be management. And few more things which sometimes for some pest I will cover it elaborately, that is in between scientific name and nature of damage is the biology of the insect. Usually I won't elaborate much on biology because for each and every pest studying the biology, what is the duration of egg stage, what is the duration of larval stage, grub stage, or pupal stage or adult stage, it's not that needed for all the pests. For certain pests which have some peculiarity, some peculiar life history, that only we will cover. Otherwise I won't be cover. Otherwise it is also a part of this economic etymology of pest of crops course. And coming to the management part, remember, whenever you are thinking about a management, usually students have the tendency to I will ask one question, Taufik, are you here? I will ask students in between. Taufik, no? Shifa,
Sir, hello,
can
sir.
you remember if you can you say if a management of any pest which have been taught to you by Deepthi madam, management of any pest which you remember?
No, sir, I don't remember.
Don't remember anyone? Huh? Yes? No? Okay, Krishnendu?
Hello, sir.
Ah, yes.
Sir, I don't
Yes.
remember.
Not anyone, not a single pest?
For
No. Anyone? Anyone can volunteer and come forward? I will ask another question. Then Shivapriya,
Hello, sir.
yes. In the IPM course, what are the methods of pest management you have been studied? What are different methods by which we can manage an insect pest? In the IPM
Sir,
course, we have
biological control, cultural
yes,
methods,
yes.
then chemical methods.
So
Ah,
usually, okay, fine, fine, good.
thank you.
Okay, usually we discuss about cultural control, mechanical control, physical control, biological control, and chemical control. So whenever you are writing in a management of a particular pest, you should follow this order. If you have any cultural management option, you should write about cultural management, followed by mechanical management, followed by physical management measures. Biological, if any biological control options, you have to write about biological control options, and last only you should write about chemical control measures. So, and don't nowadays it's a bit difficult to pinpoint chemical or biological control options, because if you discuss about biocontrol options and all, nowadays biocontrol options are also a bit specific. Don't usually when we correct the answer sheet, we usually find students as writing Beauveria, Metarhizium, Verticillium, or Licanicilium, all those things commonly for all the pests. Not that. It's only for some pests we specifically recommend this biocontrol options. And for pesticides also, students nowadays have a habit of writing, remembering a few pesticides and writing it for all the pests. No, it's just like a doctor. If you consult a doctor for any of your ailment, and doctor prescribes only one or two medicines, because the doctor knows the name of only those two medicines, and whatever be the problem he diagnoses, he recommends only two drugs, because he knows only the name of the two drugs. It's not so. Your recommendations, your pesticide, if you are recommending a pesticide, if the situation warrants the use of a pesticide, then you have to correctly identify the problem, and you have to go for a specific insecticide capable of managing that pest. Nowadays, these pesticides are highly specific. That's why I tried to teach you in the previous course. We have insecticides which are specific to lepidopterans. We have insecticides which are specific to hemipterans. I'll ask a few more. Amaljit, Amaljit is here. Don't know where you have gone. Logged on to the course. One thing you should remember: uh, take the classes seriously, because uh, the situation is like that. You can attend it only online, but try to learn all the things. And once you are completing this course, you have to face uh, farmers, and before the farmers, you should not tell that my studies was affected by corona, because corona, during corona all the classes were held online, so I couldn't listen properly. No, it's not that better option. So I will ask all the students in between. I like to ensure your participation. So that's why, Taufik, have you joined back? Amaljit?
സാർ അത് പെട്ടെന്ന് കോൾ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട് സാർ.
Okay, okay. Amaljit. So what are the insecticides we usually recommend against specific for lepidopteran pests? For larvae, do you remember from the previous course? Any name of the pesticide which is specific for lepidopteran pests? Or name any insecticide which you remember from the previous course.
Malathion.
Malathion. Okay, Malathion is a broad spectrum. It is effective against most of the insect pests. Then any other thing? Good. Malathion is.
Then
Does anyone remember chlorantraniliprole, flubendiamide? Yes, yes, Nehla Shaji has written it correctly. Chlorantraniliprole. Yes, it is specific against Lepidopteran pests. So it's not effective against sucking pests at all. So you have to identify the pest correctly, whether the damage is caused by a Lepidopteran pest or not. And if it is a Lepidopteran pest, you have to identify a pesticide which is effective against Lepidopteran pest. By the time you pass out maybe 4 or 5 years, almost all the insecticides will be extremely specific to a particular pest only, particular kind of pest. So if you don't know the name of the insecticide, if you don't remember the name of the pesticides and how does it act and which insect it targets, then you will find it difficult. So you have to be a bit more careful while we are studying this. All the two courses which you have studied earlier, it was three. That's why I always tell about three. Are the fundamentals in entomology, basics in entomology. The first thing was morphology, physiology, and taxonomy. Second was integrated pest management. That means these are the theoretical foundations for entomology. And now onwards, we are going into the practical aspects of entomology. How this can be used for solving the pest problems in a farmer's field. So that's what we learn. And today, we'll be starting about the insect pests of rice. And how many of you, I had a very not bit embarrassing scenario. My wife is a teacher, school teacher. She teaches in plus one, plus two, and all, and also in 16 CBSE standards, also in 7th class and all. So in one class last week, she asked, she was teaching about beads and all, and she was telling about Icornia. I think you might have studied about Icornia, yes or no? You can use the chat box. Icornia, മലയാളത്തിൽ എന്താണ് ഐക്കോർണിയക്ക് പറയുന്നത്? What is the name of Icornia in Malayalam? Yes. Okay. So, yeah, wife was telling about Icornia, and she told it is usually seen in paddy fields in all over our state. And then a few students asked, "What is a paddy field?" It's not an exaggerated scenario. Actually, last week it happened in my wife's class. What is a paddy field? So many of our kids have not seen a paddy field and doesn't know what is paddy at all, what is rice at all. But you are in agriculture, you have to familiar with how. So I will ask us, how many of you have experienced rice cultivation? Because otherwise, you should have experienced all those things by cultivating rice on your own. Because many students, those who are born and brought up in urban scenario, difficult to have a first-hand experience. But I will ask those who have experienced first-hand experience of rice cultivation at their home or in their relative. Anyone can use their chat box. Last week I had the opportunity to meet Joel is here. Yes, you. Joel is in your batch, no? Arishna?
Yes, sir.
Joel joined the yes. Last week I had the opportunity to see him in a paddy field itself, along with his father. We had a visit to his paddy area. Okay. So a few students are only a few. So the thing is that many of you have to imagine the thing, because otherwise you will practically experience this. Corona has some impact on your study learning process also. So this try to imagine the things, probes and all, how the pest attack, and if possible, if you have some paddy fields nearby, try to go through that paddy fields and have a look around it to identify the symptoms, damage and all, because I don't know how we'll be able to carry out the practicals, conduct the practicals. Okay. In rice, it's one of the major crop. the crop, a staple food that feeds a large quantity of the human population, staple food for large uh, number of people, and it is also attacked by a wide variety of insect pests. Usually, if the records say that more than 100 species of insects damage rice. Though more than 100 species damage, around 20 is considered as those causing severe loss to rice production. So today we will be discussing about the pests infesting rice. I will be sharing the PPT. Uh, I will again request if you have any clarifications, any doubts in between, don't forget to raise that in the class itself, because I'm trying to make this as much interactive as possible, because otherwise you will lose interest. Because I also find it, sometimes I also had an opportunity to be in online classes, and I find it extremely difficult to concentrate in online classes for more than 40-50 minutes. So that's why I'm trying to interacting with you. It's not, don't think that I am questioning you or I am asking questions to trouble you. I'm just trying to have your interest, have your attention in the class. That's the only thing. Otherwise, in online class we have a lot of disturbances. So I'm trying to present it. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first I will just list out the major pests infesting rice. I have listed it out based on the orders. The first group I have listed it out is Lepidopteran pests. Among that, the major pest is stem borers. I haven't given any scientific name because at least 4 or 5 stem borers are commonly seen in our country itself. So we will study about each and every stem borer in the upcoming slides. So we have about 4 or 5 species of stem. Though there are most species recorded in different parts of the world, we'll be confining to 4 or 5. Then comes another major pest, that is leaf folder. The leaf folder, the scientific name is Nephelocrosis medinalis. Leaf folder, Nephelocrosis medinalis. C is silent over here. Nephelocrosis medinalis. These two are the major lepidopteran pests of rice which we usually see in Kerala. Every time, whenever you cultivate rice, we usually see this, and this causes heavy damage to the crop also. Then comes the next pest lepidopteran, that is caseworm. Caseworm is a pest which is common during the second crop, in the first crop and third crop. In Kerala, what are the cropping seasons of rice? Nitya?
Hello, sir.
Yes. What are the seasons of rice cultivation in Kerala?
Uh, Punji.
Punja. Punja is the third crop, summer crop.
Sir, ഞാൻ
Okay.
പെട്ടെന്ന് വിരിപ്പ് മുണ്ടകം പുഞ്ച.
Yes, good. Good. Virippu, Mundagan, Punja. Virippu is the first crop season. That's the one which is going on now, usually starting by May, June, and followed by Mundagan, that is after the Onam season, that is from September onwards. Then the third crop, that is from December, January onwards, that is the Punja season. So in the second crop season, the one we usually, that is the Mundagan season, that's season which we usually see the caseworm damage. The scientific name is Paraponyx stagnalis. Paraponyx stagnalis. Okay. So that is usually seen in the second crop. In other seasons, we usually don't encounter caseworm much. I don't think caseworm will be a major problem in other parts of the country, because in Kerala we have a bit of rainfall, we have a bit of waterlogging and all. Then that's the condition which favors caseworm. And the third one, it is a sporadic pest. The fourth one, this army worm, is a sporadic pest. Can anyone explain what is a sporadic pest? Anyone? I won't give name. I won't call out anyone. Can anyone explain tell what is a sporadic pest? Meera? No?
Sir,
Ah. Do you know what is a sporadic pest?
Sir,
Ano?
ഒരു particular locality
ഒരു particular locality യിലെ
അസുഖങ്ങൾ പെട്ടെന്ന് cause ആവും.
yes. Almost 70-80% it is correct. That means we don't usually see it every time when you raise a crop. Sometimes, occasionally, it attacks the crop and becomes a very serious issue. The last time I had an experience of armyworm damage in Kerala was in 2018. So in 2019-20, we didn't observe any armyworm damage in rice fields. But in 2018, it was severe in several parts of the rice growing tracts of Kerala. So that is called as a sporadic pest. Sporadically, in isolated locations, we can have very severe outbreak of the pest. So armyworm, Spodoptera mauritia. Spodoptera mauritia is a sporadic pest, but once it's there, it causes heavy damage. So that's again a major pest of lepidopteran pest of rice. So these four are the major ones with respect to our state: stem borers, leaf folder Nepheloporosis medinalis, caseworm Paraponix stagnalis, armyworm Spodoptera mauritia. Of this, the first two, stem borer and leaf folder, are the major pests. Then we have three more lepidopteran pests in rice, but these are minor pests. It's seen almost every time, but it doesn't cause any economic loss. Causes some a little bit of loss, but it doesn't warrant any management, intensive management. The first one is rice butterfly, Melanitis lida ismini. Melanitis lida ismini. Melanitis lida. So that is the rice butterfly. The adult butterfly you might have seen in your home during night. I will show you the pictures of it when we discuss about rice butterfly. The next one is the rice skipper, Pelopidas matthias. Pelopidas matthias. The third one is rice hairy caterpillar, Salis pennatula. Salis pennatula. So these three, rice butterfly, Melanitis lida ismini, rice skipper Pelopidas matthias, rice hairy caterpillar Salis pennatula, all these three are minor pests. Though it feeds on the leaves of rice, it doesn't cause much damage to the crop. Then coming to the hemipteran pests, that are the sucking pests, we have leaf hoppers. There are several leaf hoppers, that's why I'm not given the scientific name. We will discuss about once we discuss leaf hoppers in the tomorrow or day after tomorrow's class. Then comes plant hoppers. Plant hoppers also, we have several type of plant hoppers, of which one is extremely important, BPH. Otherwise, others are there, but not much of economic importance in our state. So these two are major sucking pests. Other than that, two more sucking pests are also important. The earhead bug, that is Leptocoryza acuta. നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ മലയാളത്തിൽ ചാഴി എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സാധനമാണ്, നെല്ലിലെ ചാഴി എന്ന് പറയും. റൈസ് ഇയർഹെഡ് ബഗ്, ലെപ്റ്റോകൊറൈസ അക്യൂട്ട. In Hindi, it is also called as Gandhi bug, as it has some offensive odor. So it is in Hindi, it is called as Gandhi bug. And nowadays, we have for the last 5-6 years, we have a serious infestation of thrips in rice, that is Stenkito-thrips biformis. Stenkito-thrips biformis. Just a minute. Hello. ഞാൻ അയച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലോ മെയിലില്. അന്ന് അത്രയും പേര് വന്നില്ല. ഒക്കെ വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, ഒക്കെ ഇതിലുണ്ട്, നോക്കൂ കേട്ടോ. സെറ്റിൽമെന്റ്. So we have incidence of rice thrips, Stenkito thrips biformis especially if there is a dry condition in the initial part of the cropping season. So sucking pests we have 4: leaf hoppers, plant hoppers, ear hurt bug, Leptocorypha acuta, thrips, Stenketo thrips, biformis. And next one is diphtheran pest. Diphtheran pest we have two. One is extremely important, especially in the Kutanad tract, that is Gallmitch, Orseolia oryzae. Gallmitch, Orseolia oryzae. The next one is whirl maggot, Hydrilla philippina. Whirl maggot is a minor pest, it's not a major pest. Whirl maggot, Hydrilla philippina, but gallmint is a major pest, especially in Kutanad area. And next we have beetle pests, coleoptera pests. All these coleoptera pests are not that major, but in some places we have heavy infestation of this coleoptera pests. The first one is blue beetle, Leptispa pygmae. The next one is Hispa, Diclodispa armigera. Blue beetle, Leptispa pygmae. If anyone is from Kasaragod and Kannur districts, this blue beetle, Leptispa pygmae is a major pest there. In other other districts of Kerala, it's not that severe, but sometimes it assumes damaging proportions. Then we have Hispa. Hispa is still a minor pest; it doesn't cause much damage. Diclodispa armigera. Then we have root weevil, Echinonemus oryzae. Root weevil, I have not encountered root weevil anywhere during my service period, though it's reported as a major pest. I have not seen in Kerala. Then we have termites, Coptotermus and Microtermus. Mainly it is seen in upland rice cultivation, not in lowland rice cultivation. In upland rice, termites are a major problem, Coptotermus and Microtermus. Then we have mole cricket, Grillotalpa. You may be familiar with mole cricket. It also cuts the seedlings, so it's not that a serious pest. So among this list of pests, the major pests we can list it out as temporer, leaf folder, caseworm, armyworm, leaf hopper, plant hopper, earhead bug, thrips, gallmint, blue beetle, and hispa. So roughly around 10. Others are minor pests. Try to remember the scientific name also. So first we will go to the pest, that is group of pests, that is Stembora. Stembora, as I already told you, we have 4 or 5 species which is damaging rice. The first one and the most important one in rice is yellow Stembora, Syrpophaga incertulus. Yellow Stembora, Syrpophaga incertulus, belonging to the family Crambidae of Lepidoptera. And then we have white Stembora, Syrpophaga inotata, Syrpophaga inotata. Then striped Stembora, Chylosaprophyllus, and dark-headed borer, Chylopolycrysa. All these 4, Syrpophaga incertulus, that is yellow Stembora, Syrpophaga inotata, white Stembora, Chylosaprophyllus, striped Stembora, Chylopolycrysa, dark-headed borer, all belongs to the family Crambidae of Lepidoptera. And we have one noctoid Stembora, that is pink Stembora, Sesamia inferens. Sesamia inferens, it belongs to the family Noctuidae of Lepidoptera. These are the 5 major. There are few more, but I have chosen only 5 because these are the 5 major Stemboras damaging rice. Among these 5, the first 2, Syrpophaga incertulus, yellow Stembora, and white Stembora, Syrpophaga inotata, are the major Stemboras of rice in Kerala. Syrpophaga incertulus and Syrpophaga inotata. These are the 2 major Stemboras damaging rice in Kerala. Others I not seen much in Kerala. And coming to Syrpophaga incertulus, it is a monophagous pest. What is a monophagous pest? Can anyone tell? Hisana, what is a monophagous pest?
Hello, sir.
Ah,
ഒരു particular plant attack
yes, that is monophagous pest. Good. So those insects which damage only a particular crop. So those are monophagous. We have terms such as monophagous, oligophagous, polyphagous, etc. The sesame inference and all is a polyphagous pest. We will come across sesame inference in case of wheat, sorghum, maize, etc. So this is a pest infesting several crops. So that is with respect to the scientific name of stem borer. And coming to the characters of the pest, we will discuss mainly about uh, yellow stem borer and white stem borer. The first one is a yellow stem borer. I will show a picture first. See this. This is how a yellow stem borer looks. The forewing is having yellow color, pale yellow color, and at the middle of the forewing you can see a black spot. Just a minute. Can you see it over here? This one, a black spot at the middle of the forewing. Yes, this is a typical feature of rice stem borer. Just like for kids and or for infants, we usually have a beauty spot. We keep a beauty spot while doing makeup for uh, newborn infants. We usually keep a beauty spot on their cheeks. Similar to that, this yellow stem borer also has a beauty spot in the middle of the forewing, a black spot on the middle of the forewing, and the color of the forewing is yellow. And remember this, how it is folding its wings. The wings are folded backwards over the abdomen. It is folded backwards and held above the abdomen. That's why I am discussing these things is I will try to differentiate these adults of adult modes of different species of insects attacking rice based on the wing patterns and all. So this stem borer, most of the stem borer adults fold their wings backward above the abdomen. And remember one thing, usually the stem borer adults, you can see it, it is seen resting on the tip of the leaf tip. It is resting on the leaf tip. Usually stem borer adults are seen on the leaf tip area. It does not usually go below the crop. Usually seen on the upper part of the crop. But white stem borer, as you can see in this picture, it is extremely pure white in color. Just like some politicians which wear only white and white, or our singer Yeshudas wear everything white. So similar to that, this as the name indicates, this is white from tip to toe. And again, you can see just like yellow stem borer, it also folds the wings backward over the abdomen, and again it is resting at the tip of the leaf. So that is white stem borer. This is striped stem borer. This is not usually seen in Kerala. The other two are the one which we normally see. So these are the characters of this pest. Yellow stem borer, yellow in color with black spot on the forewing. White stem borer is white in color. And the adults of this insect are nocturnal. That means active in the night, and positively phototropic. That means it gets attracted to light. It is active in the night and it gets attracted towards light. That is positively phototropic. And the insects lay their eggs on the upper surface of the leaf tip. These adults, yellow stem borer as well as white stem borer, lays eggs in the upper surface of the leaf tip. You can see it over here. Can you see a small cottony white kind of thing on the upper surface of the leaf tip? That is the egg mass. It's not a single egg. The eggs are laid in a mass. Usually it ranges from 15 to 18 eggs. It lays on the upper surface of the leaf, on the leaf tip. You can see it over here. It's not on the leaf tip, not on the under surface or at the base of the leaf. It's a leaf. It is in the leaf tip on the upper surface of the leaf. That is the egg mass. And this, once the eggs are laid, the eggs will be covered with hairs. Eggs are laid and the eggs will be covered with hairs. So how the eggs are laid is that we have 2 or 3 layers of eggs, one above the other. So it is an egg mass. It's not, eggs are not laid singly. A layer of eggs will be laid. Then above that first layer, a second layer will be laid, and above the second layer, another layer will be laid, and above that, it will be protected by hairs. So that's how eggs are laid by stemporous. And once this egg hatches out from this egg mass, what the larvae will do is the neonates or the newly hatched larvae. The newly hatched larvae are called as neonates. I will type it out. What are the term? Neonates. The newly hatched larvae, they are called as neonates. They hang from the leaf tip. You can see the neonates are hatching at the leaf tip, and it will hang down by the help of silken threads, just like spiders using threads, silken threads to hang down. Sometimes you might have seen larvae also hanging down from the trees, especially from teak and all. Larvae will be hanging down from the leaf with the help of silken thread. Similar to that, this temporal neonate larvae also hangs down from the leaf tip with the help of silken threads, and the larvae reaches the base of the plant and it will bore into the plant just above the water level. The eggs are laid at the leaf tip. It hangs down, reaches the base of the plant, and bore into the stem just above the water surface. So, in the life cycle of stem borer pest, the larvae will be exposed to the environment only for a few days, not few days, like few hours only. Because within a few hours, the larvae will hang down and bore into the stem. And once it is inside the stem, it will complete the entire life history inside the stem and pupate within the stem itself. So this is how the larvae will be seen. This larvae I have taken out from the stem itself. So once you see an infestation, take out that stem, split that stem and see, you can see the larvae. Larvae will be whitish in color. And this larva will be pupating inside this stem itself. So it will be in the base of the rice plant. So the just hatched larvae, they are called as neonates, hang from the leaves by silken threads and bores into the rice stem. And once inside the stem, it starts feeding the stem. And usually only one larvae is seen inside the stem. Just a minute. ക്ലാസ് ലൈൻ ഒരു 10 മിനിറ്റ് കഴിച്ച പറയാം. ഓക്കെ ശരി.
സർ ടൈം ആയില്ലേ?
എത്ര മണി വരെയാടാ?
സർ 10:35.
19 തൊട്ട് 10:35 വരെയാണോ? 9:50 തൊട്ട് 10:35 വരെയാണോ?
അതെ സർ, 45 മിനിറ്റ്സ് ആണ്.
45 minutes. Okay, I'll cover just few more things and I'll complete this slide. Okay. Okay. So the larvae will be generally only one larvae is seen inside the stem, and this larvae feeds inside while remaining inside the stem and feeds on the internal tissues, and it pupates inside the stem itself. So before pupation, what the larvae will do is it makes an exit hole, because as you all know, the adults, what is the modification of mouthpart in a lepidoptera in adult? Moth or butterfly? Anyone? Siphoning, right? So siphoning types, it won't be able, it doesn't have mandibles. So it won't be able to cut the stem and move out of it. So what the larvae will do, it will make an exit hole so that once the adult emerges from the pupae, it can come out of the stem. So there will be an exit hole constructed by the larvae just before pupation. So this is the biology of the stem borer. We will continue. So Arishnan, when can you give me the classes? Because nowadays most of the teachers will have examination duties. That's